Hello, Hola, Konnichiwa, Salaam, Ciao Namaste. Peace to all. This is the Pink Elf in the Room conversation. And today, what we will be talking about for you guys and you girls out there, we will be talking about why leaving Earth would not be beneficial to the human race, especially at this point in time. And what do I mean by this? Now, of course, you have many people who put satellites out, had many people due to our aerospace technology that have been able to push going into space. We've even had, for the people in America, we've had people say that they wanted to build a military going into space. All of that is well and known, but the problem with that is there are a few reasons as to why we shouldn't. And I do want to go over these things because I think this is vitally important to understanding us as a species and growing ourselves first. Um, we believe ourselves to be highly intelligent or superior to everything, and that can be a problem in our world in the state we are in right now. And attempting to go to other planets will not make that beneficial. So, the first thing I desire to go through, like I was saying, are we believe we are superior to everything in this world, and that is a flawed statement due to our primitive nature. And there are 6 reasons of that primitive nature that I desire to go over. And the first one I desire to go over is simply this. The first reason would be that we still have not learned to love each other unconditionally. We've still not learned how to love each other unconditionally and care for each other in the way is necessary. So you have to realize, due to how we act with other people, you could see how this could be a problem for the fact that what if you were to find other species? Other species think in a completely different way than we do. And I will go over, I'm going to do a remastering actually of these species and including a few others that don't even belong on that are not a part of our, that aren't on the planet as of now. But I do want to go over these species because I think it's vitally important to understand who you are as a person. We have not understood unconditional love. We only have understood unconditional love with conditions. If you do not have the money, if you do not have the car, if you do not have the house, if you do not have the power, if you do not have the looks, you are someone I cannot love in any sense, and that's how we do it. Most of the time, though, however, it's usually the responsibilities of things that we feel that you have to have in order for me to be with you. And the reason that is a vital problem is because there is nothing wrong with material things, however, but our ideology of believing that stuff is what is going to allow me to be with you is very flawed in a sense. If you truly care for someone, you truly desire to be with someone, think about this for a sec. What is more important? The materialistic things or being happy with that person you are with? Now, for some people out there, maybe you're with someone who doesn't really have ambitions or goals or anything or doesn't care. That is more of a thought process of what works and what doesn't work. It may not work for you to be in that relationship. But if you have someone, for example, even myself, where you are working towards your goals, you are pursuing things in life, and though you are not fully there, you are at least going somewhere with life. And because you do not have them right away, that you are not, as though it's a checklist, you're not eligible to be with someone. That is a flawed mistake of how to look at someone. You might be missing an opportunity to find someone you will truly be happy with. Period. And that is something that people need to understand. And to add on to this, we are not fair to each other. Again, we are willing to judge people based off of, for one example, based off of what I was saying earlier. Based off the fact that if you do not have the responsibilities or the power, the materials, you cannot be with me. And that is a flawed statement because it is as though looking at a diamond in the rough. If the diamond is simply in a lump of coal and you just throw it away thinking it's nothing, how will you ever know if it's truly diamond? It's like this meme I've once seen where there's one man who's digging and he's this close to a bunch of diamonds on the other side and he gives up. While the other person is now quenching away because he knows he'll eventually find what he desires. We do not take that into consideration. We're not fair to people and we're not willing to look and see that diamond in the rough to see what it truly is. And this leads to the third one, which is we do not observe very clearly anything. Actually, let's make it seven because observation was one of them I didn't put on here. And this is actually vitally important. My apologies for you guys out there. But and before I finish, by the way, I had someone on the Pink Elf in the room who had asked me about playing music in the background. I will be getting back to playing music in the background. I think it's an amazing idea. I had done this before. It's just I'm gonna have to get a few other things to start playing music in the background. So we will be doing that soon. No worries. And to the guy, I believe it was Omar, who's the one who said it. Um, to you out there, I will be working on that very soon. I appreciate your feedback on that because I do actually desire to play music and I'm working towards that one way or another. But back to what we were talking about at hand. And again, I'm sorry, I said six reasons. I'm going to add one more actually because this is actually vitally important to my point of what I'm stating is the fact that we do not observe these things. We do not observe, we go through daily life just going on and on and on. So we do whatever we do, and that is it. We follow whatever we follow. We follow the status quo of what someone else says. Because someone else is doing it, we must do it. If everyone tells you to jump off a cliff, we all jump off a cliff. And you might think to yourself, I wouldn't jump off a cliff. No, you wouldn't. But the way we act is we follow other people based off of behavior. And that is a problem because we do not critically think things through. We do not observe things through to understand if something works for you or not. We're not people who see things as do they work or do they not work. We are people who are merely going through everyday life believing that, okay, well, this must be the conclusion to everything. It's like people with credit cards. Everyone, of course, has one, and yes, they can be beneficial in some ways and unbeneficial in many ways. But we believe so deeply in that, and we're so invested in that, that any of the background ethics or lies that you don't see about a credit card, you don't think about because everyone has one. So we all believe in the lie fully instead of thinking things through and observing and objectively getting to where we say we desire to go as a whole. Sorry about that. So we're unwilling to observe what is necessary for us to get to where we say we desire to go. Now, you can put this any way possible, whether it's trying to get wealth or anything, trying to be in a relationship, trying to work with people, whatever it is, but we don't observe very closely at all. And this plays a key role in us going to other planets. We will not observe how other species react. We will try to enforce our thought process, our ideals, without thinking how others may feel. If you take, for example, District 9, the movie. This was merely an example, but it stays true to how we still act in today's society. We, in District 9, people were pretty much putting this species around a gate due to a giant ship being there that had been there for several years. They looked at these people as different, found them as horrible beings, and that they were nothing less than lower than us, and hence why they were gated from everyone else. How do you expect to get along with other people if you still haven't got along with your own species? That's something to think about. The next thing is that we don't share anything. We believe we do. We believe we share. But we don't share everything. We don't share houses. We don't give people, for example, we don't share vacuum cleaners. We don't share all the time finances. We don't share cars, or at least carpool. We don't share business opportunities all the time. And what I mean is sometimes that could definitely guarantee you to make money as soon as possible. Yes, there are businesses, but many of them will take you time. And there's nothing wrong with that. That those things take you time to do what you need to do. There's nothing absolutely wrong with that. But it's the degree that it will take you time. And there are many businesses that could easily make you money quickly and help you get to where you say you desire to go. But we do not desire to share that with people. We do not desire to share working with everyone in the community to make sure people are safe, because there are flaws with our laws and regulations of how we run things. We do not share as a whole when we're talking about different countries. As you can see right now, for example, with America, they are blocking people off right now with people who are coming from, I believe it's on the tip of my tongue. People who are coming from Hades, who've gone from Honduras, going into Mexico, and trying to get to America. That's a perfect example. You have people who will block you from getting into their country if you do not have certain passports, certain paperwork in order to get into those countries. They will not share with you getting into that country. We do not share financially all the time with each other, but with only specific countries. Hence why you have third world countries and first world countries. We do not share our resources. We will overprice certain things that should be beneficial for the entire public. But we will say that we share, but we don't. Highly advanced beings share everything. And this is a big problem with us. Again, if you are seeing other species, if you are going to other places and you are taking all the resources that are there without realizing perhaps there may be another species, it might not be beneficial to leave the planet yet. We are unwilling to understand. We have not understood each other, but have made complaints and have not seemed to figure out why we cannot get to where we say we desire to go. However, due to how our species acts, we are a species who influences based off of behavior. The most powerful of countries are ran on behavior. Hence what makes a system. We have not understood each other, but have harmed each other in several capacities, and have blamed others in several other capacities for situations we believe are so right to us, that that person's fault, that it's this person's fault, that it's the black people, it's the white people, it's the Asians, it's the Indians, it's the Arabics, it's the Latinos, it's this, that, and everything. It's the left wing, right wing, Republican, Democrat, president, Protestant. All these things we believe are a problem, but we are not willing to understand each other and get to the picture, get to the point of what is really the problem. And because we have not understood those things, you will have a very hard time understanding other life forms, other life on different planets, because of how we are treating this planet right now in any sense. We have not had understanding, and we have literally, in a sense, kept going to jump off a cliff. You can easily change that, however, but the fact is you have to be willing to understand these things. You have to understand the nature of your planet. Understand the species, the animals that live on your planet. Understand the people that live on your planet. Understand every little thing to the biggest thing on your planet to get to where you say you desire to go and create what you desire to create. Otherwise, it does not work. We have still not even changed our system. What do I mean by that? We have not changed the system we are using now. We believe it to be a perfect system, and this is what works. However, there are many flaws in your system. There are many flaws in our system. Our system allows us to believe that it is beneficial for us to do X, Y, and Z, and that there are winners and losers in life. We have not changed this and believe this is right, this works, and this is beneficial. I had stated this, I believe, earlier, that this does not work. For example, when we were talking about money. Money is based off the fact of belief, which is what gives it a stable amount of what it is. When you print out too much money, it depreciates the value of that said money. Which means the value of it is lowered, of course, and may not be beneficial to the economy. The problem with this is if you have stopped all these charades, used perhaps in a sense, whether it's all of us having different separate um, currencies, but if they were all under one roof, the same value, no matter how much money you print out, you would most likely still be benefiting your economy. But based off of what you created and believe that this is the only system that works, it has a flaw. Again, there are winners and losers, and you believe in competition. You see, competition doesn't work on your planet based off of winners and losers. The game would have to stop. Because of the fact that if you desire to work as a whole to grow your entire planet, and hello to Taryn out there on Instagram. If you desire to grow your entire planet and change the system, you cannot have a system where there can be winners and losers. There cannot be competition. In order to grow it, you have to resolve what you're doing on your planet to help everybody out. Good to see you, by the way. If you were to go to other planets, again, I lead back to this when I was talking about highly advanced beings, other species on other planets, and so on and so forth. Um, the species on other planets do not work and act like we do because they have a sharing mentality. And we, as an entire species, do not have a sharing mentality. We haven't even crossed the boundaries of making sure everyone has the most essential things in life, such as food, water, clothes, shelter. But we have led with the fact that if you get a job and everything and you work really hard, you too can be successful and gain a lot of money and be a winner too. Or you can be one of those losers who's homeless on the street and has nothing. And that does not work for what we're trying to create. We can't seem to figure out to ourselves why we haven't gotten to where we need to go, why we haven't made it beneficial for everybody to get to where they say they need to go. And again, it is based off of behavior, but again, we have not changed our system of thinking. Not just in mind, but the entire system, because you have to understand the system is like a computer. You can literally look, if you go from the air, you can see this literally. I've seen this. It's a very interesting thing to observe. Your literal the literal state, the literal province, the literal city you live in it looks literally like a computer. If you ever take out the system within a computer, you see all these wires and chips running around and everything, and that is how we run it. And that is how psychology works in your mind when it's ran. It's a plugin that you have to be willing to change. But last of all, the last thing you have to be willing to change is simply this: because you don't get along with other races. I've said this before. If you can't get along with black, white, tan, brown, yellow, red, how do you expect to get along with indigo, jet black, crimson? How do you expect to get along with pink? How do you expect to get along with silver, gold, polka dot? We have not come to the boundaries of getting along with each other. Time and time again, we have been extremely horrible to each other and done some things that have been unnecessary to other races. I remember watching a man in Germany, a black man, who was um, who met a white person who literally was trying to harm him by pushing him. He was at a train station and he was trying to push him on the tracks to get hit by a train. That does not work. I remember seeing a lady who was Puerto Rican where there was somebody who wanted her to leave due to her race at this park she was at. That does not work. You cannot think that going to other planets will be beneficial, taking other resources are beneficial, and believing you are superior to those beings if you can't get along with your own species. You will be taking things, of course, and eventually possibly causing wars and harm to others that could even come close, if not further, to your own demise. And that is why there is something that has to be changed. You cannot leave the planet believing that would be beneficial because it could do more harm than good to you. So these are, I'm sorry, not the 6, but the 7 reasons due to your primitive nature as to why you wouldn't be able to go out of the planet, or why it wouldn't be beneficial for us to leave the planet. Now, the other reason, of course, is look at how we treat our planet. We don't treat our planet very kindly. There was a discussion about this, I'd say, a few days ago, that we are literally on a crash course to destroying our planet. It's not really surprising because we've been on this crash course for quite some time. A year ago, however, there was a man, I don't remember his name, but he was working to putting 1 billion trees on the planet in 1 year. And he succeeded at that. However, at the fault of that, the problem with that is we had already taken 1 billion trees. Literally, I believe it was 1.4 billion trees is what he had planted. And that was the literal exact number of trees we had already taken. What he had done was simply replace the trees that were already taken. Now, what was the problem with that? There's no problem with him putting the trees back, but the problem is we had taken trees that had gone to full lengths high. And what we may not understand about our planet is the fact that many of these trees are fully grown to perfect what is needed to give oxygen. Think of them like a tank. The smaller it is, the lesser the tank of gas. The bigger it is, the fuller the tank of gas. And it stays that way forever. However, we do not think in that sense, that importance. We only think for self, believing that this is beneficial because we're trying to create some agriculture. This is beneficial because we're trying to hunt animals. We're trying to create buildings. We're trying to create a system. You have treated your planet poorly, and trying to go to a new planet will not be beneficial because you will then cause harm to that said planet in several years to come. You have to be willing to change how you do things. If you cannot treat this planet correctly, how do you expect to go to another planet and try to invest in treating that correctly? It does not work to do that because of the fact that at the end of the day, It's like saying violence begets violence. Corruption of your planet only merely creates more corruption of your planet. You have to be willing to change how you treat your planet first before you even decide to go to a new planet and explore or to cultivate and so on. And lastly, we think only for ourselves and not the whole. If you were to intermingle with other species on other planets and go to other planets and so on and so forth, due to our ideology, as we see from many people, we have a mining yours mentality. We do not work or look to the whole and benefiting all of us as one. It is a private affair that we feel that I deserve this, I should get that, I should get this. And that is okay. But in the highest state of us, you can also get what you desire and also give what all of us desire at the same time. We have not come across that barrier. Again, this leads back to our primitive nature of what I was saying earlier. We have not broken the system. We have not broken that system to find what benefits us. And that being said, it has been a difficulty getting to where we desire to go. All of this connects to each other. If you're willing to love those around you, if you're willing to work with those around you, if you change your system, if you care for the people around you, you will get to where you say you desire to go. But you have to be open, observing, understanding, unconditionally loving, and patient, and caring, kind, and willing to change what might be even the scariest thing to us, the system that is not benefiting you. And the reason that might be scary is because it is like it's like someone who has trauma, and I think I've said this before. What would you be without it? How would you act? To some, that might be scary because of the fact that it's unknown. Ask yourself that question today. What would you be? So, we're ending it here, but in conclusion to everything, the reason why it would not be beneficial to the human race to leave the planet is because of our primitive nature. We still haven't learned to love unconditionally. We have not learned observation. We haven't learned how to be fair to each other. We do not share everything. We, in essence, do not understand. We haven't changed our system. We don't have respect for other races and care for other races. We separate ourselves at times with other races. We haven't taken very good care of our planet, and that has caused havoc, which has led us nearly off a cliff. And of course, we have not learned to not only stop just looking towards making what's beneficial for self, but we have not looked to the whole. We can literally change these things. There's no doubt about that. But we have to be willing to change our mindset. You can change the world simply first by changing yourself. Start with first knowing who you are, knowing how beautiful, how amazing, how divine, how magnificent you all are as the gods, the goddesses, and the creators within, who you are. So we will end it here, but to everybody out there, just have a good morning, a great afternoon, and a fantastic evening. To everybody, peace and namaste.